Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is going to be another my thoughts on, and I wanted to talk today about Adepticon, specifically the Adepticon Studio Preview for 2019. This came out Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, depending on where you live in the world. It was 2 AM in the UK, so I didn't see this immediately. And yes, I'm aware I'm a couple of days behind when most people put their reactions out to this stuff, but that's just the way I operate with my upload schedule, so I apologize for that. Now, I'll be honest, going into this Adepticon, I didn't really have that much in terms of expectations, because we knew we were going to get something relating to AOS Forbidden Power. We didn't know much about it going in. But beyond that, we weren't really sure of anything we were going to get because they hadn't given us that much. But the night before, or the afternoon before if you're in America, they put out this little Slaanesh teaser. And we'll get to Slaanesh because I'm sure you've all heard about what they did with Slaanesh. But that teaser really got me excited. And that's coming from me, someone who actually objectively dislikes Slaanesh. But we'll get to my thoughts on that a little bit later in the video. So let's jump right into the reveals, see what we got out of Adepticon this year, because last year's Adepticon had the Idnet Deepkin and the announcement, if not anything to look at, of the Adeptus Sororitas. So let's see what this one had to offer. So there's a little hint in the little banner, which I'll probably use as the thumbnail as well. So starting us off, Sigmar. They give us a little bit of information about Forbidden Power. Not a lot at all, really. I was kind of expecting more. So if you just go down to the article, it's a big expansion. Looks like it's going to be a box set idea, same sort of thing as, I'm guessing, Malign Sorcery, where you get some rules and some models in a box, which is a good way of doing things, I think. And then it gives a little bit of background. This is the stuff that I was most interested in. So there is great and ancient power in the realms, power never meant for mortals. Sigmar sought to hide these forces in the storm vaults in the Age of Myth with the help of Teclis, but the seals are breaking, and armies from every Grand Alliance seek to claim these spoils as their own. Archaic weapons, spirits of warriors, timeless relics, it's a treasure hunt for magical OP nonsense. I'm in. Because this is the thing that AOS has always had as its issue, has been its lore. Because the lore, while it's been there, has been excellent, and I'll talk more about that when we get to Slaanesh. But there have been issues. I'm just going to slide my mic that way a little bit because it bugs me. There has been an issue of not setting the background for everything. And the AOS 2 rulebook did a lot to remedy that, with laying out the basics of the realms, how they operate, the basics of the armies, how they operate, and the battle tomes have been doing a fabulous job of filling in the gaps. But sometimes it is about just laying down the foundations. The same as how 40k has done, where it's laid out, this is the state of affairs. This is what came before, this is what is, you can now shape what will be. And particularly nowadays with the ever-evolving timelines thanks to Vigilus and the Soul Wars. So I think it's good of them to lay out some of the stuff and how the past is coming into the future. We'll get a bit of talk about what the gods were doing in the Age of Myth, I hope. Because obviously this is involving Sigmar and Teclis. This may involve Tyrion. It may involve Nagash, because a lot of these things are Shaishan, as they'll explain. Shaishan? Is that the right word? I'm not sure. So Forbidden Power contains new endless spells. You can see, I'm assuming, a few of them down there, representing the dark magics of Shaiish unleashed during the Soul Wars. Obviously, the Necroquake has probably broken these seals on these storm vaults, which is what's causing all the chicanery. So, pretty cool stuff. New endless spells, I think, is absolutely vital, because as much as I really like the endless spells, I do. I'm a huge fan of endless spells, and I think they've been very well implemented, in that every army's been getting them. They're not ridiculously overpowered. They do come with a cost, and they're dispellable, for the most part anyway. But they have had a problem. Specifically that the ones that are in the base game, i.e. the ones provided by Malign Sorcery, well, they kind of suck. Like, the Chronomantic cogs are very good, But aside from the chronomantic cogs, I don't hear a lot of the other endless spells being used. I've heard bits and bobs about the Geminids, but the Purple Sun, this super death ball of doom, pretty much never gets run. The Burning Head, which has some tactical advantages, never gets run. The Prismatic Palisade, something that I think is really, really cool, never gets run. At least as far as I'm aware. So, as cool as they are as of an idea, they needed to be buffed so that they could compete with the faction-specific endless spells, because not every faction has them yet. And as much as armies like Khorne and another army we'll see later are getting workarounds for this, I do think they needed to buff the base set of endless spells, and I think this is the right way to do it. So we'll see how powerful they are and see what these other relics do. But I'm interested. This soul fairy person is very interesting, so I like that. Every army will soon get a chance to harness the power of the Realm of Death and seek things out. Stay tuned for more news coming soon. So maybe it'll be out around the time of AOS 2's release so at the end of June, so we'll get more information by Warhammer Fest. That'll be my best guess to work with. So, they then go on to talk about battle tomes. It said they promised a new Grand Alliance battle tome, or new battle tome for every Grand Alliance this year, and the next one is for, as you can't tell, Order. Fire Slayers are back. Fire Slayers were part of the original wave of battle tomes back before battle tomes were actually any good. Well, I say that. Back before they were as comprehensive as they are nowadays. So before you had allegiance abilities, before you had command traits, before you had artifacts, before you had faction-specific, basically anything. Like you had battalions and you had your units, and that was about it. These guys have had sort of tied over rules in the General's Handbook, but now they're going to get done properly. They don't talk about any new units, which is kind of a shame because the Fire Slayers roster is thin. It's a thin roster, I'll say that. But they'll give us some more background and some new army options, hopefully. They like talk about a shooting gallery and also a pack of magma droths because someone has to do the Flesh Eater Court's impression. I like the artwork. I think I prefer it to the old one. I actually got the old Fire Slayers Battle Tome in French because I want to do some reading. It's an alright book, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they have coming forward for them. And they've got new terrain, because everybody does, and magmic invocations. Basically, Duardin can't do endless spells, so we're going to give them some pseudo-endless spells for their priests. We have seen, I think we've seen all of them in the video trailer, but I'm not going to go through that. So you can see on the right there, you've got the Forge, that's their terrain piece, and on the left, you've got the Invocation, this giant flaming lava golem salamander thingamajigger, which I very much like. Now, 2+ Tough, who you may know from Adepticon podcast, as you should really be watching if you're an AOS person, has made a video quite recently about the terrain problem that AOS has got. And whilst I don't know if I want to agree with everything they say or disagree because it's not my place, I need to do more digging because I'm not that competitive about the game. I do see the idea of AOS having a terrain problem. For me personally, I think it needs to be destructible, you need to pay for it. But we shall see, because things like the Herdstone and Gnoll-holes and Wildwoods, debatably, and possibly the Flesh Eater Court's altar, and I don't know about the Cornate altar, they do some bonkers things, and they're free, and they're very powerful, and they're indestructible. So I do think they need to do something about terrain. We'll see what this Fire Slayers one does. I'm guessing it will be passing out, like, priestly buffs, because they're more easily able to imbue the power of the runes, or something like that. We'll see, I suppose. We'll get more details going forward. And also a little hint of a new boxed game, Flora versus Fungus. If you watch the trailer, it's basically a sprite getting eaten by a squig. So it looks like Sylvaneth versus Gloomspite in a box set, which will hopefully lead on to a Sylvaneth battle tome. I'm down. Good one. Like that. Always like to see a way to get cheaper Gloomspite, because they're an army that one day I might actually get round to. As much as I do want that all-squig Hopper army, I realise I only have so much time. Then a bit for Underworlds, so they're going to be adding the Caradron Overlords. I'm impressed. Thunderix Profiteers. I like Caradron. I like their aesthetic. I'm not a huge fan of them in terms of I'd collect them. And honestly, having done Zarbag's Gits, the Shadespire Underworld's plastics are just, they're not nice. Honestly, my advice is actually just to get some normal Caradron. and just use those because the Shadespire plastics are awful. Well, by GW standards, they're awful because they're push fit, but they're not very good push fit, and there's this really crummy plastic by comparison to regular. But I do think it's good that we're seeing cards run in there because they'll bring a new game mechanic, or not new game mechanic, a new game dynamic with their ability to fly and to shoot a lot, and I think that'll be interesting as a game mechanic as much as I don't play Shadespire at the moment. Then we get a bit more detail about Warcry. We saw a little bit of information about this earlier. I think at Gamma, we saw the first little look at Warcry, but now we're going to get a little bit more. So they're going to show off in this little trailer the Iron Golem, a Shamanite warband, who basically just want to go and smith stuff for the Slaves of the Darkness, and here's a few of their models. You can tell they've gone really all in on this sort of gladiatorial vibe. Like the helm really reminds me of like Roman gladiators with the sort of the dots across the eyes or the slits. Some of the weapons look vicious, which they really should for armies of chaos. They look very unique. I wouldn't look out of place at a Blood Bowl pitch, actually, with the chest armor. And they've also added in Chaos Ogres and Chaos Dwarves. Chaos Dwarves, we have not seen Chaos Dwarves in over a decade, I think, since we last saw a Chaos Dwarf. And a Chaos Ogre is actually something that's brand new. So I very much approve of seeing those. Thank you very much, G-Dubs. Yeah, I'm down. I'm very much down. And I think they talk about something very important there. The opportunity to explore chaos as more than just the bad guys, but as a living, breathing culture. Because if you read about the Khorne Bloodbound, I'll just give you an example here in the AOS rulebook. If you read about the Khorne Bloodbound, like their society is cannibalistic, murderous, and all kinds of nonsense because Khorne, but it comes out of necessity because the Age of Chaos caused all the crops to die and they just ran red with blood instead of water. And so people were forced to turn to blood and cannibalism to survive. And that's where the Bloodbound came from, or at least that's part of it. So now when the Bloodbound go out and they're recruiting, after they do a fight, it's like, you join us or you die, but to prove yourself and so on and so forth. Chaos is really interesting in its lore, as much as I don't particularly buy into it all that much. There's a lot of interesting stuff in Mortal Chaos, not so much demons for my mind. But I'm glad to see them flesh them out because, well, I think it just needs it. It's more of that setting building about seeing what life is like in the mortal realms for the citizens of order, the mortals of chaos, under Nagash's boots, just roving around for destruction, just setting building through the eyes of the factions. Because seeing it through one lens gets kind of boring after a while, which is probably why people got sick of Stormcast so quickly, partly. And we also get some chaotic fauna, sort of the parodies on Gryph-hounds and Aetherwings as examples. We get a new Fury. So we haven't seen Furies in a damn long time. In fact, I don't think there's been new Fury models since I was in the hobby, and that's been over 10 years now. So I'm down to see Furies. And we also get this thing called a Raptorix. It's a ginormous vulture flesh hound thingy. It looks really, really terrifying, which it should for a Beast of Chaos. Honestly, like, why is that not a Beasts of Chaos model? Like, a unit of those in a Beast of Chaos army would be terrifying. At least I think it would. So, chance of an update? Nah, never mind. Still, I think that's a really good sign. And in case you're not a big Chaos fan, so there's going to be 6, I think, Chaos Warbands added into the base game, with the Iron Golems being one of them, and 9 non-Chaos factions. They only show 8 of them here, unless one of those 5 that are darkened out is actually not chaotic. So let's just zoom in the image and see if we can have a bit of guessing. Can I zoom in this image? Let's give it a try. Are you happy with that? Down a bit. Yeah, that'll do. So, looking at this sort of roster, I'm seeing, obviously, the Iron Golems, which is the crossed gates in the middle. You've got something that looks like the Eye of Horus, so I'm guessing that'll be chaotic. You've got a set of horns, so I'm guessing that's Beastmen. You've got some sort of Beast Masters with the crossed serpents in the left. Some sort of shamanistic society in the top right, with the sort of big, long, beaky skull. And then Chaos Star with something over the top of it. I'm guessing that'll be a sort of Slaves to Darkness-y sort of thing. I'm going to take a guess. No, I'm not sure. But then you've got these 8 around the outside. There should be 9 non-chaos factions, but let's have a look at what we've got. So the rune at the bottom right of the banner, which is this sort of swirly thingy, I can tell you because I've got some right in front of me. That's very Idenethy. In fact, just if I just jump over here, that's something that looks very Idenethy to me, wouldn't you say? Also, this is what my Ideneth looked like for an Elfin Adventure. Hi. So yeah, I'm guessing that's an Ideneth symbol down the bottom right of the banner. The symbol in the middle left reminds me a lot of the Daughters of Cain, and it makes sense, I think, for Cainites to be involved in this, so that would be my best guess, but I could be wrong, but I think it is Elvish. The bat skull thing, I'm guessing, is Soul Blight or something like that, like a group of vampires or maybe like roving knights. Obviously, the bad moon there with the mushrooms on the back, that'll be some Gloom Spite related things. And then I think we've got 2 Orc factions, because the gob symbol up at the top left, that top left, right at the top, is very much associated with the Orcs in 40k, as is the sort of skull symbol. Again, that reminds me a lot of the Orcs. Symbol at the top right, best guess is that Stormcast, because you've got the sort of Azerite circle thingy and then the lightning bolt, but I'd love that to be Free Peoples, I really would, but I don't know. And then I'm assuming that Flaming Skull is another Death faction. I'm not quite sure, but maybe. Anyway, that's just something to get your speculation. If you are into that sort of thing, then by all means, have a bit of a speculate. Anyway, on we go. I'm not going to zoom back out just in case I mess something up. So, 40k onto 40k. Dun, 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 dun. Apocalypse is back, baby! Yes! Apocalypse! I've missed Apocalypse. Apocalypse, for those of you who are new, is basically what happens when you scale the game up to ridiculous levels. We're talking games that last a weekend. Yes, that's a thing. It's, oh, yes. I'm a huge fan of Apocalypse. I suck at it. I suck at 40k, I'll be completely honest, but I love the visuals of Apocalypse. These just huge, vast armies arrayed, particularly when you theme them. You've got people like with Chaos bringing together a vast amounts of from Khorne, from Nurgle, from Tzeentch, from Slanesh, from Undivided, from the Mechanicum, with the Titans and the Demon Engines and the... yes. And arrayed against that, you've got all sorts of Imperial forces. I know this is the stereotypical one, but run with me on this. Where you've got Space Marine chapters all over the place, and knightly contingents, and a force of Skitarii. And then you've got Guardsmen upon Guardsmen upon Guardsmen upon Guardsmen upon Baneblades. And then you've got a Titan at the back, the sort of pinnacle of it all. And you've got a couple of Death Strike missiles humming away in the background, ready to drop their vortex payloads of doom. Apocalypse was amazing. If you could build it and pull it off, Apocalypse was amazing. They're so fun. And they want to get it down into an evening. No, you won't, but still, here we go. They are bringing in movement trays. The focus is not on units, but on entire formations. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this game plays out. And I honestly just can't wait for it. I just want to see how this game plays out, because I've got like 5,000 points of Orcs just sat at home. I've got a Green Tide and a Stomper and a Gorkanor and a pile of bikers, and I've got some new bikers, so I can lead a mini Speedwire in the corner, and I've got Battle Wagon, and I've got new flash kits that I want to try out. I've got so many Orcs, and I've got a pile of Tau as well. I just want to throw them all down on the table and go ballistic without it taking 10 years. Have you seen the meme, "This is just my first volley"? Yeah, I want to do it, but faster. I'm so in on Apocalypse. Yes, please, I want to play it. I just want to play it. And movement trades will help. I know it's a bit of a dead joke, but oh, God, yes. God, yes, please. And if you go back to the base game of 40k, so Vigilus Ablaze is now on its way. I think Vigilus Ablaze is out by the time this video comes out. Some of you will have seen the spoilers or will have just read it for yourself. I'm not going to do that here because either I'll get it wrong or I'll just make some mistake or annoy somebody. But I've seen some of the spoilers for Vigilus Ablaze, and it's very, very interesting indeed. We've got interesting things coming up, hopefully. that they don't spoil too much here. So they'll be exploring myriad war zones across the 41st millennium. The battle for Vigilus was won, but such is the dire state of the galaxy that it is just one place. And since we've had Calgar and Abaddon, who's next? Gazkul? New Gazkul? Come on, give me new Gazkul. You know what? You know you want to. I want my plastic Gazkul because the resin one is kind of annoying. Give it to me. Come on. Plastic Gazkul. That's just my choice. And then also we get the community survey. No, we don't. We get one of the cheekiest memes I've ever seen. I'm not going to spoil. Just watch this. This trailer is hilarious. It's a 50 Shades of Grey joke, but with unpainted models. 50 Shelves of Grey. And we don't quite know what this is going to be yet, but I look forward to seeing what this is, just because the trailer was so funny. I'm in, whatever it is, for new painting to help you get models done sooner, because playing against grey models, you accept it, but it's nice to play against painted ones. Event-exclusive models, Primaris Captain, Primaris Librarian, Italy. Is it Primaris? Probably. Let's look at the armor. Actually, I don't know if that is Primaris. I just assumed. Maybe it isn't. They don't say it is. I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on. The big community survey, this is what I was going to get at. So from the 15th of April, there is a big survey going on. There was one last year, and I hope you all got involved in it. And there's going to be 3 key factors this time. So first up will be Warhammer community. So they want to get some feedback on how Warhammer community works and all that stuff. So make sure you talk about that. Secondly, a bit of a opinion about the game. So balance tweaks. Got opinions on the latest codexes. We know you do. We read Facebook. Yes, the Facebook comments are very obnoxiously loud about one thing and another. So tell us what they want about 40k AOS and all that sort of stuff. And then thirdly is Adepticon and events in general. They want to sort of improve event organization and coordination to try and make things better for event organizers, which I think is a good idea, because as much as these events are great, not all of us have the ability to travel to those events. Like Warhammer Fest is just about feasible for me if it weren't in the middle of everything else. And then Adepticon, obviously, LVO, Nova, these are all on the opposite side of the pond. And if you're down in places like Australia and other places, there aren't as many events available for you. So trying to grow more events across the world, I think that's a very good idea in my mind. And as a prize draw, you can win a Sister Battle army. Yes, the new ones. That's cool. That's a good incentive if you're wanting to get Sister Battle. And then we get to the bit that I'm sure most people came to this video for. Slaanesh. The Hedonites or Hedonites of Slaanesh. This is a upcoming AOS battle tome. I'm assuming it will be the one that directly follows Fire Slayers, and then they'll follow it up with probably Forbidden Power. So I'm thinking we'll go Fire Slayers, Slaanesh, Forbidden Power, Sylvaneth, something death related, something destruction related, and then they filled their quota for the year. Maybe we'll get something else after that, I don't know. Anyway, so here's the model that everybody's been talking about. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I think that'll make everybody's lives easier. Zoom right out, thank you. Yeah, there's a new Keeper of Secrets on the block. Yeah, I don't like Slaanesh, but I really, really like this model. I really, really do. This model is fantastic. If you wanted to hear a massive rant of gloriousness about it, go watch Kirioth's video. It's honestly excellent, and I suggest you do that if you just want to hear gushing about this model, because it deserves it. But in summary, it sums up Slaanesh really well. It's both elegant and graceful, and yet also sinister and terrifying. It strikes that balance of everything that Slaanesh does. It's a lithe, genuinely terrifying murder machine, but it also has that sort of... sex appeal is the wrong word, because it doesn't, but it's clearly got those sort of slightly sexualized features in places, and it's just a really excellent model. And as Kirioth said in his video, which I've already mentioned, there's just something wrong about it, but in all the right ways. And for a god of excess, as Slaanesh is, they've been so restrained in the design process. With the Chaos Space Marines that we saw recently, with Abaddon, and with other models, they've really, occasionally, the design team have just decided to throw everything at it, and have possibly ended up over-designing things. Particularly some of the models have just looked over-designed. This is so simple, despite the fact it belongs to the god of excess. It works really well. And it may just be me, but I like the fact that it looked like it walked straight out of Greek myth. Because you could imagine this sort of entity existing in myth as this multi-limbed, slightly androgynous and appealing creature that is also absolutely horrifying and deadly in equal measure. And yet it's got this enthralling sort of can't take your eye off it grace and beauty as it moves, and yeah, they just do a fabulous job with this model. This model is brilliant. There's a size chart which is knocking about, which makes it about the same size as Bloodthirster, as you'd expect. It's brilliant. I can't say any more about this model. It's just fantastic. I'm still not going to buy it because I don't play Slaanesh, and Slaanesh doesn't appeal to me. But objectively speaking, this model is excellent. One of the best I think we've seen. This will be Model of the Year. I'm calling it now. It's only March. But I think this is going to be Model of the Year. Yeah, I said it. I don't know how they're going to top that. I don't. It's such a good model. So simple and yet so excellent and complex and yeah. And it even comes with weapon options and head options. So you can see it has a shield option. There's a different head. You can see it's got a tail at the back because of course it does. And yeah, it's brilliant. And some other new Slaanesh models too. So first off, the mask is back. Hello, the mask. Whoops, that's the wrong button. So yeah, the mask is back, and that's cool. I think that was in dire need of an update. When we saw the little trailer yesterday, I was like, yeah, they're going to do the mask again, aren't they? You can see, obviously, the sort of twin masks, and it's got all the things that the mask does. I love the Harlequin callbacks with the sort of the tights made of its own flesh, and the sort of checkerboard patterns in places, and all that good stuff. The sort of faux, like, aristocratic collar combined with everything. Yeah, cool design. Not my sort of thing, but cool design nonetheless. I don't know if I quite like that angle, because it looks like has it got 4 limbs? Yeah, it's got 4 limbs, of course it does. Then we've got Silesque. Not quite sure if that's a pun. Silesque is a Demon Prince Herald combo, so clearly someone was watching Thanquol and Bone Ripper going around. And again, I'm getting this Greek vibe off this thing, of this just like colossus creature controlled or co-partnered with a smaller, more lithe combatant who maybe use it as a mount and as muscle. Again, something out of Greek myth and also Mortal Kombat. Don't know why I got that in my head, but again, it just you wouldn't think that's a Demon Prince, but it's flipping huge. So yeah, cool design on Silesque. I think that's a good idea, and it's a unique way of doing something with Demon Princes that isn't just big, juked up murder bot, but not bot. You know what I mean? And then we get this thing. I have no flipping clue what this is. I'm guessing it's a new war machine. Due to the fact that it's crude as opposed to just being standalone like a terrain piece would be for Slaanesh. Because it looks like it can move possibly with those cables and the Demonettes can carry it. It's an interesting design. I'm guessing it'll have some sort of spell-based effect. And the fact that the little Demonettes have got like face masks, kind of like they do on the Bloodwrack Shrine with the elves, makes me think that it's got some sort of Medusa-like paralyzing attack, would be my best guess. So you get the Battle Tome, Hedonites of Slaanesh. We'll see what happens in there in terms of mortals and demons. And of course, new endless spells. You've got the shurikens of the little shuriken razor wheels of doom that just fell off a Hellflayer. You've got a demon head tongue lasher thingamabob and giant construct demons compact. Okay, I don't know what the hell they're going to do, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. And as much as I've said, I'm not going to play Slaanesh, they're not my style. in terms of lore, in terms of painting. I think this was a really good idea to reintroduce Slaanesh now. They'd been dropping hints about Slaanesh for a long time. Marathi taking too many souls, possibly causing the bonds to get too loose. Then you've got the Necroquake, where everything goes nuts. Khorne smashes the realms to create the judgments, and obviously Slaanesh notices that. Sigmar doing all sorts of nonsense and all the elven stuff. It makes sense that Slaanesh is coming back. Will Slaanesh escape? We don't know. But I'm very intrigued. And obviously, if you're a 40k player, look forward to getting these models and hopefully some updated rules to go along with them as well. And after 30 minutes of banging on, there you go. That is my thoughts on the Studio Preview 2019. What a show. I had low expectations about this Adepticon, as I sort of hinted at the beginning, because I didn't know what they were going to do. And then we saw the Slaanesh teaser, like, okay, we're going to do Slaanesh, are we? I'm in with that. And we got the Forbidden Power stuff, which we knew was coming. But then they also introduced a bunch of other stuff. So Fireslayer is getting redone. That's good. Warcry, we're going to start to show that off and hint at what's coming for that. That's good. The models look great. Then you got an introduction for Nightvault. That's good. Then you've got Apocalypse for 40k. That's flipping excellent to my mind because I like that sort of style of game. And obviously promises of more lore developments, hopefully bringing in more big guns. I'm down with that. And just generally, I think that was a really good show. I don't know if it's as good as last year's Adepticon, because last year's Adepticon brought in the Idneth, who remain one of my favourite armies of all time. And it also sort of set the Sisters hype train. I think Titanicus was showed off there for the first time. Adepticon last year was a really, really good show. But so was this year's. A really interesting mixed roster. A lot of chaos, I'll give you that. So if you're someone who's a bit of a Xenos player in 40k, or a Death or Destruction player in AOS, then you probably don't feel quite as pleased about this one as maybe you did last year. But still, a very good show, and I look forward to the developments going forward in terms of the new releases and what will come from Warhammer Fest, because last year we got AOS too, so who knows what we're going to get this time. Anyway, that has been everything for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think about all the different things. I'm always interested to see what you have to say. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis. This is my thoughts on the Warhammer Studio Preview for Adepticon 2019. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again. Bye for now.